My name is Benjamin Clazel, and should fuel-run vehicles be banned? The average temperature of the ocean and the land has increased an average of 0.07 degrees Celsius since 1880 every decade. However, since 1981, that growth has more than doubled. That's a bit toasty, huh? Snow days are awesome. Everybody loves them, especially down here in the South. Seeing snow is one of the best feelings. Get a day off of school or work, it's super fun to play in, and everybody is outside having a great time. It would stink to see that go. Now, that is more of an exaggeration, but still, the Earth is warming up at an alarming rate. I will first tell you how fuel-based cars work, then the effect they have on the global climate, and finally, if the ban on fuel-based cars would be the best solution. We've all seen an internal combustion engine car, there's no doubt about it. It's what most people drive. But how they work is actually not very well known, and is actually very, very interesting. An internal combustion engine works in 4 stages: intake, compression, power, and exhaust. Intake is when the engine takes a mixture of gas and air and injects it into the combustion chamber. Compression happens right before power. The mixture of fuel and air is compressed to a very, very high pressure to make the explosion even more powerful. Power is where all the power comes from. The pressurized mixture is ignited with a spark plug, and the explosion and the expanding gases cause the piston to shoot down and make the drive shaft spin, spinning the wheels, driving the car. Exhaust is where all the bad gases come from. The explosion causes the fuel and air to become a very, very dirty smoke. Now that we've covered how the engines work, let's move to the effect this has on the global climate. This is where the problem of fuel-based cars comes from. Those gases need to go somewhere, and they end up in the air, causing greenhouse gases and heat to be trapped in our atmosphere. Greenhouse gases are gases that let heat in, but not out, just like a greenhouse. Heat can come in and heat the place up, but it is very hard for that heat to escape. It happens on small scales and large scales, just like the Earth. Obviously, the Earth warming up is not a good thing at all. It causes changing weather patterns, more violent natural disasters such as hurricanes, and most importantly, it causes glaciers to melt, like those in the North Pole and Antarctica. In turn, oceans levels rise at an alarming rate. The global sea level has risen about 9 inches since 1880, with about a third of that coming from the last 2.5 decades. That's not good. Now that we've covered the effect fuel-based cars have on the environment and how internal combustion engines work, finally, we will talk about if banning those cars is really the best solution. Just like we've all seen our fair share of fuel-based cars, we've probably all seen a few electric cars, or maybe even hybrid cars, like those of the Tesla or the Prius. It's pretty clear that on the road, electric cars are better for the environment than gas cars. 0 emissions, 0 gases, 0 effect on the climate. But what about the manufacturing of the cars, especially the batteries? Those batteries must come from somewhere, and batteries are mostly made out of rare earth metals, and the extraction and manipulation of them also causes some, if not more, carbon emissions than gas vehicles themselves. Over their lifetime, though, the electric vehicles balance out, eventually getting to the point where they are more eco-friendly than gas cars. So it's a trade-off. The manufacturing of electric cars does in fact create more harmful gas emissions than that of fuel-based cars, but over their whole lifetime, electric cars are much more eco-friendly than fuel-based cars. In the end, the transition to electric cars will be very difficult and very controversial. Electric cars are very efficient, but still not nearly as powerful as fuel-based cars, especially diesel. Vehicles like semi-trucks, tractors, big construction vehicles, etc. will likely always be fuel-based, but that's okay. because most of the bad emissions are from civilian driving. Fuel-based cars work the way they do because that is the most efficient way we know. They still have very many negative effects on the environment, and it will stay that way no matter how efficient they get. Electric cars, as it seems right now, are the way to go. Yes, the manufacturing of it still causes carbon emissions, but not nearly as much as daily driving a fuel-based car. Our climate is very important, obviously. We only have one planet. We can't afford to destroy it. The transition will be hard and it will take a long time, but in the end, it is the best the average American can do.